Good morning, friends, wherever you are, and welcome to today's installment of Cichlids and Coffee. I appreciate you being here, wherever you might be, all over the world. Actually, looks like we have folks from UK and as close as Chattanooga, Tennessee. So welcome, and we have a lot to cover today. Took a week off, as some of you know. Had a good time in Colorado watching one of my boys compete in, I guess, what you'd call a half Ironman, like a mile or two of a swim, about a 50-mile bike ride, and very, very, just a very grueling series of steps between swimming and running and bike riding. And I was entirely and completely exhausted by the time he was finished. But it's good to be back. I did miss the live stream, and glad to see all of you here. Looks like we had a good number of you on before we even started. Good sound and video. Thank you, Denny, for that feedback. And a big shout out to my moderators, Denny and GP and Kevin Green and all the rest of them. We have Jerry's Fish Room here, and see if Zen Ginger might be stopping by, but we have some great moderators. Moderators are folks that just make sure that the chat is kept family friendly. This is a family, for the most part, it's a family friendly channel. And let's see here. Let's see who we have on so far before we get rocking and rolling here. And I want to thank you early birds that get on. And looks like TN Charlie. Hey, TN Charlie, right here in Tennessee. Craig's here, and Fishroom Marcus. Hey, Marcus. And Fishman Marcus. And Emin. Hey, Emin. How are you, buddy? Did I thank you for that very nice letter you sent me? That was very, very sweet of you. And you didn't have to, but since you did, thank you so much. Very nice of you, Emin. I really appreciate that. Alex is here, and by the way, that reminds me, if I look like I've gained a few pounds, my friend over in Puerto Rico, one of the folks that stop by occasionally, Frank from Puerto Rico, Frank Vera, sent me a package full of Puerto Rican goodies. And have you ever tasted something that takes you right back to your childhood? And he included some things in there that reminded me of when I was very small, and my grandmother would bring home these authentic Puerto Rican things, like made of coconut and things like this, and just flavors I hadn't had in many, many years. And it thank you so much, Frank. You are, if you're here or if you watch this on the replay, muchas gracias, amigo. Te lo agradezco mucho. So let's move on a little bit here. It looks like someone came in with a super chat here right off the bat. Thank you, super chatters. Your support of the channel is greatly appreciated. This is the General PZ, the General Please, or General Pez. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support. And it looks like Elijah's here, and Brian, and okay. And Brian's in Denmark. Wow. Hope to visit your country someday, my friend. And Jerry, glad to see you here. Check out Jerry's Fish Room. He's posting updates. I've been watching his channel. Got some good stuff going on. Great assortment of fish. Jerry's Fish Room. Hey, Zen Ginger, I just mentioned you, and I am glad you are here. And Eddie Mendoza is here. Hey to you too, my friend. Naomi H2O. And let's go ahead and jump into the action here. And let's just go ahead and do the usual official start of the live stream. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that sub button and the bell. We're this close to 40,000 subs. So spread the word. It's going to be kind of exciting to hit 40,000. Sort of unreal to me that that's happening, but I'm very excited. And also come on over to Facebook, Ben O apostrophe Cichlid. Great group of fish keepers there willing to help. No trolls allowed. And so the help is very, it's there's no such thing as a stupid question there. People don't jump on you. They don't pile on like I've noticed in some groups. And also, if you want to get some behind the scenes, I do post previews and some personal things over on Instagram at ben.o.cichlid. Feel free to follow on Instagram as well. So, and really a big shout out to the channel sponsor, the Cichlid Shack in Tempe, Arizona, who has helped me tremendously with the new aquarium project and with fish and things of that nature. Be sure to use Shack Attack 10 for 10% discount on any purchases over $100, which is very easy to do when you start buying large, mature, colored up African cichlids. You'll hit $100 very quickly. I don't think that includes shipping. He doesn't make any money on the shipping. He just charges you whatever he gets charged for by the carrier, but he is insistent on getting those fish to you as fast as possible. So he likes to use that overnight, airport to airport type shipping when possible. Also, for those of you who'd like to support the channel, consider going to Amazon using my link, amazon.com/shop-Ben Ochart. If you use that link to get to Amazon, anything you buy on Amazon gives a credit to the channel, but also I list a lot of products at my Amazon store. Also, if you like things like coffee mugs and things like that, t-shirts and hoodies, check out the Teespring. And that's it on the commercials. So thank you so much for the support, everybody. So let's take a look at, hey, Donovan in South Africa. Hey, buddy. Wow, South Africa. Another country I'd like to visit someday. So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on. It's when you invest a lot of time and effort in a project and it starts to come to fruition, it's pretty exciting, very, very exciting. And it has been for me. And not to say that there haven't been a few hiccups along the way. There have been, and I had to redo some of the plumbing to get it really up to the spec that I was looking for. And hey, Evan, show us the fish, Ben. Shut up and show us the fish. I'm gonna show you the fish. I promise. I promise. As a matter of fact, I've prepared a special video that's going to go over the entire project, and but thank you so much for that encouragement, for that nudge, as they say. So at any rate, I prepared a video for you that's going to give you a recap of what's happened. And Emin, because you're a good guy, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the tanks. Here we go. There's the 90-gallon. That's my South American tank. And of course, I'm going to be adding some more fish to that. But right now, that's what I've got. And here's the... Let me enlarge this. The fish in that tank are the ones that are going to be transferred over to the 210 next. So that's going to be the next wave of fish because they're going to be moved into the 210. Now, I had to take the living stone eye out of that tank because he was being a real jerk. I couldn't even see the other fish because he was keeping all the fish corralled in the corner. I removed the living stone eye, and all of a sudden, all the other fish are swimming all around, and there doesn't seem to be anyone overly aggressive. So I tell you, if you keep African cichlids, my advice is have a tank handy and ready. And if somebody becomes a total tank jerk, pull them out and put them into that other tank. Now, interestingly enough, when I transferred the fish to the 210, the fish that were in this tank here, when those fish were transferred to the 210, what happened was the dragon blood immediately went psycho. And I thought maybe with the additional real estate he'd calm down, but he didn't. He just went insane. So I had to pull him out. Now the living stone is in this tank, but but when I pulled the dragon blood out of the 210 and put him into this tank, he started beating up the living stony. So I pulled out the dragon blood and put him where I had the Eureka Red. And now the Eureka Red, my notorious killer cichlid, is living peacefully with the living stony in this tank. So go figure. Which just goes to show that it really is a crapshoot. It's a total crapshoot. Really don't know what's going to happen until it happens. So I'm going to give you a glimpse of the 210, and then I'm going to play that little video that I made for you. Here's the 210, and keep in mind, it has a long way to go. I'm going to be getting some plants in from my friends at Elite Cichlids. There's the Phoenix. Let me pull the enlargement back a little bit. There you go. You can see I brought over some caves. I've got some of the plants from the 55. The fish that are in there right now are doing really, really well. And we'll talk about it some more. Are you happy, Eamon? You got your 10 pounds worth there. Full tour of all the tanks just for you. So let's go ahead and I'm going to play this little video for you. You tell me what you think about this video. This is a video that I could have just released as a standalone video, and I was contemplating doing so, but I decided to go ahead and just include it in today's live stream, and just for you. Hello, YouTube friends. Ben Ochart here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yes, there are fish in the 210. And how was I able to get fish into it that are doing well, that are thriving so quickly? Let's talk about it now. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that sub button and the notification bell, and that will tell YouTube that you like the channel and encourage YouTube to get other fish keepers to see the channel. It's a win-win, doesn't cost you anything, and don't forget, full refund for anyone who is not 100% satisfied with the content of my channel. And of course, that's a joke. So at any rate, let's talk about how I was able to get these fish over to this tank so quickly. And the first step was, of course, to ensure that the tank was ready. And by that, what I mean is all the plumbing was right, no leaks, the sump running correctly, water levels staying the way they're supposed to, all of that dialed in. Then, of course, I had to correct the FX6 because it had a leak. So I had to figure out what was going on there, fix that situation, make sure that was running perfect. And then what I did is I treated the water. I added water conditioner, like I've been doing the entire time, and then I added 2 full bottles of Fritz Zyme 7. This is a live nitrifying bacteria, naturally removes ammonia and nitrate, but also helps to jumpstart the beneficial bacteria process. To then further back that up, I took all of the media out of the all of the filter media out of the marine land, the Emperor 400, on the tank back here over my shoulder, this one here. I took all the media out of all the filters, the marine land and the Expert Matic. And I put them in, I put all that dirty, gunked up media, I put it inside the first chamber of the sump, right in the same section where the socks are. And so all of that beneficial bacteria that was living on that media went into the sump. At the same time, I'm treating the tank every day with Chem Safe, this product here, Chem Safe. And it's a great product when you have a very large tank, because I think like a quarter teaspoon can treat 300 gallons. So every day the tank gets treated with Safe, and every day the tank gets tested. So after about a week of daily treatment with Safe and a week of testing, and we're going to be good to go. Essentially what occurred was, when you think about it, what occurred was a big water change. And also keep in mind, I brought over 5 cupfuls of substrate from the tank they were in. So 5 cups of substrate were taken, scooped out of that tank and dumped into here, as well as a couple of the caves, these 2 caves here, and the plants. The plants are all from that tank. So I've imported a tremendous amount of beneficial bacteria, and at the same time, bomb the tank with the Fritzzyme 7 product, creating a very alive ecosystem. And now what I have is some very happy, very, very colorful fish, like this Otopharynx tetrastigma that is just absolutely beautiful. Now, the second I brought them over, the dragon blood became a complete and total jerk, and just started sort of picking up where he left off in the 55, chasing him around, trying to keep him corralled in the corner. So doing the same thing except on a bigger scale, with 4 times the real estate. So I ended up putting the dragon blood back in the 55 just to see how things would smooth out with him not in the mix. And immediately the Phoenix picked up right where the dragon blood had left off. So the Phoenix went into the dominant position and started to chase fish around. But the difference being that the Phoenix settled down. After the Phoenix established that he was really the alpha fish, he then sort of backed off and wasn't doing that constant, psychotic, never-ending chasing that the dragon blood was doing. I might reintroduce the dragon blood into the tank when I reintroduce the Eureka Red Jake. The Eureka Red Jake is going to be, I'm going to give him one more shot in this tank and see how he does, at the same time that I bring over the fish from the other cichlid tank. I'm going to give this tank maybe a week or 2, let it kind of settle in with these fish in it, and then start bringing in the other fish, the predator haps, which include the Venusus, the living stone eye, the trout, and fish like that from the other tank. And we'll see how it all smooths out. At the same time, I'm working out some deals with my friend and channel sponsor, James Largo, over at the Cichlid Shack, to get some additional fish to add to the collection. I want to get definitely want to get a sand diver, possibly a Fusco, and fish like that have been some of my all-time African cichlid favorites. He got some more inventory in, and we went back and forth a little bit about some new fish. I wanted to wait. I wanted to hold off and just wait till some of the things here kind of sorted out, and then we can talk about adding fish, which I'll of course quarantine in the 55-gallon tanks. So this tank is ready to go. The Otopharynx obviously likes being on camera and is being a ham tonight. And that's it. If you have any questions, certainly comment below. You can also watch a video that I did a while back called adding fish instantly to an aquarium. The end result of doing what I did is essentially like a very large water change. You bring over you bring over media from an established tank that is seasoned and full of good gunk and bacteria. You're treating the tank on a daily basis. I've added a large amount of beneficial bacteria in the form of the Fritzyme 7. So it really there's really no reason why this tank should have a problem, especially if I'm dosing it every day with safe, and that is really keeping everything in check. I'll also be testing it every day to make sure nothing goes out of whack for at least a few weeks. And then I'll probably add a couple more bottles of some of the Fritzyme 7 and then bring over the next wave of cichlids. Whether or not I'll bring them over all at once, I think there's about 8 or 9 of them over there. Whether I bring them over all at once or maybe do it in 2 waves, we'll see. Now, the plants in this tank, of course, are the plants that were in the original 55, and that is because I wanted to bring them over because they have bacteria on them, good bacteria. I didn't clean them. I didn't clean anything I brought over because that would defeat the purpose. I wanted it brought over dirty because that's where the bacteria lives. So, but these plants are going to be phased over into a new collection of plants that I'm working out with Elite Cichlids. We've been in touch. I've been in touch with Jack and Mike over there, the family, Elite Cichlids. If you haven't visited their site, visit their website, and they have a wonderful assortment of plants that are artificial but look very, very good. Their background was they were florists, and decided to start making artificial plants for fish keepers. And so their plants look very, very good, very realistic. And so I'll be adding more of the Elite Cichlid plants. These in here that I have are from Elite Cichlids, but I've got some real nice ones picked out that are going to be added to this tank. They're going to add some different types of shapes and colors. So definitely stay tuned. And with that, let's just take a look at the fish in the tank. And I thank you very much for tuning in. And stop in on Saturday for Cichlids and Coffee. We'll talk more about it then, and I'll answer some of your questions live. That's always a lot of fun. Cichlids and Coffee, that's at 11 a.m. Central on most Saturdays, almost every Saturday, unless I'm on vacation. All right, so that's it for me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. As you can see, it was actually set up as a standalone video with all the little links to the live stream and everything else. But I decided to go ahead and include it in today's live stream just to give you folks an update of what was going on behind the scenes here. And since I put that video together, the dragon blood has been relocated again, and the living stone eye was pulled out of the 55-gallon over my left shoulder here. So it's, as you know, African cichlid keepers out there, as you know, it's a constant work in progress. You have to keep your head on a swivel, and because at any moment things can go wacky, and especially in the area of aggression. That the living stone is a beautiful fish, but when he was in the tank behind me here on this one here, he was all one color, and when a Fusco or a living stony or any of the Nimbochromis, like your Venusus, when they go all one color, it means that they're like in breeding dress. They're like super fired up, and they really express their dominance by controlling territory, by knocking fish out of their area. And this could be a problem. This can cause stress that can lead to disease. It can cause infections from fin nipping. And it can prevent other fish from eating because he dominates the feeding area. So so I took him out, put him in this tank, and so that I didn't have the dragon blood together with the Eureka Jake. I said, well, what have I got to lose? So I pulled out the Eureka, threw them in with the Living Stony, and surprise, surprise, they're getting along fine. Now, one of you commented putting all the fish into the 210. That is the plan. Not just the fish I have now, but these fish plus additional fish that I'll be getting and quarantine for a month. I'll put them in quarantine in the tank behind me here. This is the better African cichlid quarantine tank because it has the aragonite substrate. So it's going to have probably the closest pH. So I'll use that as the quarantine tank for any African cichlids that are coming in. But all of the ones I have now, including the Eureka Red Jake, the Dragon Blood, and the Living Stonite, they're all going to go into the 210 because, again, using the idea that a well-stocked African cichlid tank, especially one with this much real estate, is going to be able to spread the aggression around. Then I'll get the additional plants from elite cichlids. That'll provide more, more line of sight, more breaks in the line of sight. It'll also give more hiding spots, right? And so ideally, I'll be able to have an assortment of cichlids from not your super peaceful ones. Like I wouldn't put Lethrinops in there. They'd probably get beaten up. But, from your moderate to your more aggressive cichlids, I'm hoping are going to be able to live in certainly there's going to be chases, but they're going to be able to live together without destroying each other. When you have a limited number of fish, especially in a smaller tank like a 55, like these behind me, it's very easy for one fish to single another one out and corner him because that fish doesn't have many places to hide, and just pick that fish apart, like happened with the original large shipment, the first large shipment of fish I got from the Cichlid Shack. There were a couple in there, in particular the Eureka Red, that was selecting out particular fish and then just destroying them. And I'd come in the morning and the fish would be laying there at the bottom with a tremendous amount of fin damage. And so while I was sleeping, that, the fish was, just tearing that fish apart. So with the additional space provided by the 210 and well stocked, this aquarium will actually be able to provide a home for a large number of African cichlids without having the destructive behavior that is so frustrating for African cichlids. I mean, we learn to live with it. We come up with workarounds like spare tanks and emergency tanks and things of this nature. I mean, we work around it. We have to. We have no choice as African cichlid keepers. But anyway, if anything you can do to reduce that is good. I don't have those problems so much with the South Americans. The South Americans, they get into an occasional lip lock with each other. The Geophagus hermanensis, sometimes they chase each other. Sometimes the AC hecli will go after each other. The JD, the Jack Dempsey, his name is Tom, by the way, doesn't really seem to bother anybody. He's pretty small right now, and he looks like he kind of rubbed up against something there on his back. But the rest of the fish all get along. The Vieja doesn't bother anybody. So I know that that's not indicative of every South American tank. I know that there are South American and Central American tanks, or South American and Central American fish that are very aggressive, and I get it. So, but I can't even compare African cichlid aggression to what I've experienced so far with South and Central Americans. The South and Central Americans have been, relatively peaceful by comparison. So, whereas African cichlids it's just a constant. It's a constant juggling act. Let's take a look. Let me know what you thought about that video, and let me take a look at some of your comments here in the chat. And let's see here. I'm going to go through the chat here and answer your questions. And by the way, I think I missed a super chat. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate the support, Darren. Thank you for that. That was Darren Horn came in with a super chat. And I believe I did thank Ammon, yes, I did. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the comments here. And Eddie Mendoza, would you like some stickers, Eddie? If you'd like some stickers, let me know. Yes, I still send them out. These are the channel stickers. We have a Cichlids and Coffee sticker, and we have the light fixture behind me that was put together by Vinny. We have a sticker with a light fixture, and we have a little channel logo sticker. If you'd like a set of stickers, go ahead and just write to me at ben.o.cichlid@gmail.com and give me your mailing address, and I'll go ahead and send out some stickers to you. Now, as is the tradition, anyone who comes in with a super chat over $20, over $20 US, I will send you a, if you'd like, some of you already have it and don't necessarily want it, but if you like, I'll also send you out the best towel in fish keeping. This is the Aquarium Co-op. It is the towel I use here to wipe the glass and keep things looking good here in the fish room. And so any super chat over 20, go ahead and let me know. Send me an email, and I will go ahead and get stickers and a towel out to you. So just my way of saying thanks. By the time I do shipping and everything, my wife thinks I'm crazy because I end up blowing the entire $20 between shipping, packaging, and everything else. And of course, YouTube takes their 30% bite, right? And so, anyway, let's take a look here. So yes, Eddie, I do. And let's see here. Ricky de Hoyos, those are some beautiful tanks, Ben. I'm sitting here staring at my 20-liter. How many Starry Nights can I fit in there? Starry Nights, Ricky, get very big. Do a little research on Starry Nights, on their size, and they grow slowly, but they do get very, very bulky. So I'm not sure if 20 liters. I mean, it'd be good while they're maybe juveniles, but you better plan on a big tank very quickly. So, hey, R. Baglio's here. Good morning to you, my friend. And see, looking at your comments here. You know, is it Saqib Manzoor? Saqib, it's amazing how many people watch the live stream while doing water changes. And that's good. That's good. I like it. Thank you, FLYN, Florida, New York Fish. Flying Fish. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And Justin Haskett, hi, Ben. Did you change the lights on the 210? Justin, stay tuned. I'm going to do a follow-up to my original review of the JC&P lights. I started communicating back and forth with JC&P. I got some additional information. So we might be having a thumbs down go to a thumbs up, and stay tuned for that. I'm also going to be releasing tomorrow. I'm going to be releasing a follow-up to the Wavemaker, the Savnar Wavemaker follow-up. If you remember originally, they sent me, if you saw the video, they sent me a Wavemaker that had the wrong plug-in for the United States. They sent me a UK, Eastern Europe plug. It simply didn't work here. Then when I contacted them, I never got a response. So I don't know if my contact there left the company and was no longer there, so the email went nowhere. I don't know. All I know is that Mile High Freshwater took it upon themselves to send me out the proper plug-in, and so I went ahead and used that and was able to complete the review. You'll see that tomorrow. It'll be Sunday's video is going to be a follow-up on the Savnar. I'm also going to talk about placement, Wavemaker placement in an aquarium, and the different reasons why I place it, and why I placed it in particular in this tank where I did. So look out for that. It's going to be all about wavemaker placement, maximizing the benefits of a wavemaker in a tank. There are certainly different reasons for using a wavemaker. Some use it for surface tension breakup, help to oxygenate the tank. Some use it for circulation purposes, in the case of corals, things like that. Some African cichlid keepers claim that increased circulation reduces antagonism. I'm not entirely sure about that. Some people use it for the kicking up of detritus and waste, and moving the detritus and waste to the inputs of the filters. So you'll see in tomorrow's video where I position this 3,600 gallon per hour, very, very flexible wavemaker. You'll see in tomorrow's video. So look for that. And I'm very happy with what it's doing. It's in the back corner of the tank. Not sure if you noticed it when I showed you the tank. And I'm looking at your comments again. Naomi, I am adding safe every day for about a week, and I will be adding safe just as a safeguard, because it is, at the end of the day, it is a brand new tank that I'm firing up. However, following my own thoughts on it, my own recommendations, I'm just taking extra precautions. I really believe that if you bring over the media, you bring over all the media, the floss, the pads, the sponges, you bring all that media over, you bring over some of the substrate, you bring the decor, and you don't clean anything. You bring it over all gunked up and brown and everything else, and you put it into the new tank after you've conditioned the tank. If you do that before you've added conditioner to the tank, all of that's going to probably die out from the chlorine that you're in, the chloramine that is added by the city. So be sure you've treated your tank and even test it. Make sure you've got like 0 chlorine and nothing that could kill that beneficial bacteria. Bring over all that good stuff. And I really think that it really is essentially a big water change. And like I mentioned in my short video. So, but I'm just being extra cautious. I added 2 big bottles of Zyme 7. Was that needed? I don't know. I'll probably add 2 more bottles before I bring over the next wave. And I'll bring over maybe 5 cupfuls of this substrate, plus all the plants and the caves and all the sponges that are in those expert matics. I'm going to dump all those sponges in the sump. That's one of the beauties of a sump, is you can do crazy stuff like that. I've got all that room, so I can put the 6 modular sponges that are in those 2 expert matic hang on the wall power head filters. I can just take all those sponges out, don't rinse them, don't do anything, just dump them right in the first section, right where the socks are, and take over those 2 caves, several cupfuls of that substrate, and that's going to give me an additional boost. And then I can bring over these fish, and I'll bring them over in a wave, and then I'll continue to treat the tank on a daily basis for about a week with safe. I use safe on tanks over 100 gallons. I'll use safe. A little bit goes a long way. And if you watched Jay Wilson's recent video on comparing safe and prime, it seemed like the biggest difference was safe doesn't address heavy metals, where prime does, and safe doesn't stimulate slime coat, where prime does. And so my conclusion on watching Jay Wilson's video, and if one of the admins wants to put a link to that video, that's fine with me. Jay's a good guy. So I'll be alternating. I'll be using a little bit of prime, maybe using a little bit of safe, kind of covering all my bases. So I use them both. I also use Fritz Complete. I've had great success with the Fritz Complete water conditioner. So at any rate, so I think that you have an instantly cycled tank. I tend to lean on the side of caution and add extra bacteria. and condition the water for several days, for about a week, and just to make sure. And as you can see, I mean, look at these fish. This Otopharynx tetrastigma has never looked this brilliant. Let me see if I can show him. Switch over to a different different screen here. Let me see if I can catch that. There he is in the corner. He's never looked as beautiful as he looks now. I don't know if it's the additional water circulation, if it's the extra real estate, but he has the bioluminescence of, you know, the colors and the details and the scales, and he has just exploded since I sent him over to the 210. And the other fish are looking good too. I can catch him on film here. Catch him on the camera. Quick pan. There's the Phoenix. Actually tends to go orange and purple. Just a beautiful combination. One of the fish that are available at the Cichlid Shack. And there's the Johnson Eye. So they're loving it. And you got a bicolor 500 in there somewhere. And as I mentioned in that short video, the Phoenix went nuts, went a little crazy when I took out the dragon blood. But then, after he got everybody to understand that he is the head rooster, he calmed down. There's Skittles, little OB. He's been growing really slow. Everybody else has been growing much faster than him. So you've heard the saying. You've heard the saying that dilution is the solution to pollution. And so I'm not sure if that's entirely the solution. But at any rate, adding that extra water volume and being in 4 times the space obviously has had an impact on these fish. Like I said, I've always loved the Otopharynx tetrastigma, one of my favorite all-time fish. Even when he was in the 55, I was always posting pictures to Instagram and talking about him. But he has just gone nuts in the 210. And it could be a combination of both the extra space, the additional water volume, but also the lights. The lights might have something to do with it. And I'll talk about that in my follow-up video, how the lights allow you to dial in percentages of white, red, green, and you can work with the percentages to get the best pop in your fish. And again, that's one of the features of the JC and P lights, which I'm going to be doing a follow-up on, and probably the first time I've ever switched from a thumbs down to a thumbs up. But I went ahead and spoiled it and gave you the whole plot of the movie. But so let's see if you have any questions. I'm going to check the chat here. I notice most of you get into chats with each other. I think that's funny. I am not familiar, Bunny. I'm not familiar. I don't know if you're asking me or somebody else, but I'm not familiar with aquariums made by Jale. Looks like a great tank. Has anyone had any experience? Never heard of them, Bunny. I'm sorry. Glass or aquarium? Are they glass? Are they acrylic? I'd be curious. James Manning. I boiled what would fit in a pot, soaked it, and okay. So you're working on tannins. I've got a piece of driftwood right now that I just can't get to not float. I have weights on it right now in the sink behind me, and second I take the weights off, whoop, right to the top. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll drill some small holes in it. Hey Jerry, thank you so much for that super chat. Just bought FX4 and FX6 for $300, slightly used for my new project. So stoked to see your 210. Very cool. That's a good price for both of those. And I just released an FX6 video. Actually, I released a video on canisters made simple. And I think the FX was just the canister I happen to have since I was setting it up for this tank anyway. When I first set up the FX6, I had a leak, a slow leak at the bottom. And as it turned out, on the FX6, for those of you familiar with the FX6, the motor housing screws attaches to the body, and it has a nut that those screws go into. If that nut goes out of position, that nut can sometimes go sideways, or maybe even strip the area around it so that it spins. The nut spins, and so the screw doesn't really push the housing down strong enough to settle on the O-ring that seals the unit. And so what was happening is when I inspected it with a flashlight, when I turned the canister on its side and inspected it with a flashlight and turned the screws, I realized that the nut was slightly at an angle and off. So when I adjusted that and then screwed it down, battened it down really good, and then water tested it, the leak was gone. I also used a food grade silicone lubricant on the major O-ring, the large O-ring at the top, and also on the O-ring between the motor housing, the pump housing, and the body of the canister. So that food grade silicone lubricant, I can't recommend that highly enough to anyone who has canisters. Definitely once a year, either replace those O-rings or give them a good lube, and you'll get years and years of leak-free. And you've got O-rings on the input-output. You have O-rings on the motor housing. You have an O-ring down in the purge valve. The O-rings are all over this FX. So just be aware of that and lubricate them from time to time. So now some people were talking a bit about the socks. It's funny. Some people love the use of the socks. When I say socks, I don't mean the kind you put on your feet. I'm talking about these kind of socks here. These are socks you put. These are 4 inches across and 14 inches deep. The water level starts at about right here. You're really getting about maybe 10 inches of use out of them. But some people loved them. Some people that talk to me about them love them. Other people tell me, oh, you're going to get sick of it. But with each water change, I just pull out the sock that's on the sump, the 2 socks that are on the sump, and pop in the ones that I've rinsed and cleaned out. And in the meantime, the ones that I popped out are sitting on the sink drying and getting ready for next week's water change. It takes me approximately 5 minutes, maybe less. Pop them out and pop the new ones in. So I don't know, but some people seem to not want to deal with socks. I'm finding it first sump I've ever had with socks. I'm finding it to be not an issue at all. So let's see here. Any questions you might have? Let me check your chat. If I missed any super chats, I am sorry. I'm trying to catch all of them, and I really appreciate your support, folks. And Sharpies, models, and aquatics, my fish are subjected to plenty of heavy metal. Today has been Nightwish and Winter Sun. My Google is right behind the tank here. And if I were to just say, hey, Google, Stevie Ray Vaughan, they would get a lot of rock. I'm afraid to say it because it'll start playing, and then my video will get banned by YouTube because of copyright protection problems. But I get it. My fish get that kind of heavy metal too. So let's see here. Is that aquarium safe? James, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Let's see here. Yes, Evan Glassofar, Higer makes nice lights. The The lights in the tank behind me are Higer. These are Higer lights, and I've really actually no, I'm sorry, that's Beansworth. The lights on the 90 gallon are Higer lights, and I really like those. I really like those lights a lot. Jerry says my 180 is bottom drilled, sealed off with bulkheads. You know, Jerry, if you send me a video on that, I'd like to take a look at it. Is it bottom drilled at the bottom of an overflow box, or do you just have a closed loop system? When I've looked at bottom drilled tanks, I've kind of panicked a little bit, because I would think, well, wait a minute, that tank can drill all the way to the bottom. If you've ever seen the large tank where James Largo keeps his personal collection of fish, which unfortunately went through a horrible disaster recently, but that's a story for another time. But some folks made some mistakes in taking care of his fish fish. But I see bottom drilled tanks, and I was thinking, wait a minute, can that tank potentially drain all the way to that level and pour all that water over the floor? But I think those are closed loop systems, so that it's impossible to really have that happen. But maybe with some one-way valves. But at any rate, I'd love to see a video of what you're talking about, just so I can get my wits around it. And soak your Mopani, okay, hydrogen peroxide. Now my Mopani wood, this is Mopani wood in the 90. That wood back there in the corner of the 90, those are 3 large chunks of Mopani wood that I picked up at Franklin Aquarium here in Tennessee. They're actually sold by ZooMed, and they were $10 a piece. I couldn't believe it. Beautiful pieces of wood. I paid probably 3-4 times that much for the other wood in that tank. And but the Mopani wood didn't have any problem staying down, so it actually soaked up pretty good. But it did release a tremendous amount of tannins. I had it in water. I was constantly flushing and refilling the sink with really hot water, and I was always getting tannins. It took me about 3 weeks, and finally it started running like very weak tea. It was very strong tea in the beginning, black tea. Then it turned into weak tea. And then I put them in the 90, and I didn't have any tannins at all. But granted, I did have Purigen. I added bags of Purigen to the hang-on back filters, and I think that helped to clean out the tannins. The Purigen was courtesy of my friends over at the Aquarium Co-op. Little plug for my friends at Aquarium Co-op. And Lizzie over there helps me out a lot. And so if you're not familiar with the Aquarium Co-op, check them out. Great organization. Corey is one of probably the top 3, I think. Legit providers of knowledge and advice. I know he's done a lot of training, a lot of classroom training. And so Corey has got to be in my top 3 guys in aquarium advice. So any other questions you care to ask, go ahead and ask them now as we approach the hour. Let me see. All my tanks get weekly. Sharpie's Models and Aquatics talking about all of his tanks getting weekly water changes and filter cleans plus whatever other maintenance. I'm kind of curious, Sharpie Models and Aquatics, do you add, do you do filters and water changes at the same time? Do you alternate that to not shock the system? That would be my question. And my other question is, do you add beneficial bacteria when you refill the tank with conditioned water? Do you then add a little bit of beneficial bacteria if you do service the filters and water change and vacuum all at once? Do you add beneficial bacteria? I'm wondering if that's something that you do. As you know, if you follow my channel, you know I recently had a little bit of a hiccup that resulted in the death of some fish that I really loved. And it was because I was just doing too much. And by too much, what I mean is I was in the middle of medicating and also did work on filters and also did a water. I did too much at once. I shocked the system. I started a mini cycle going, and 4 of my fish didn't survive. And so I'm just curious how you do that, Sharpies and aquatics. And let's see here. I'm looking at the chat. GP, I change my 3 filter socks weekly and do 50% water change every 2 weeks. Yeah, that's very sensible. Probably doesn't shock anybody. And yeah, I really, maybe I'll grow tired of it. I mean, some people talk about this holy grail of an aquarium that you can just leave alone and not do a lot of work on. And I'll be honest with you, the working on the aquarium for me is actually a little bit therapeutic. I actually get a lot of joy out of cleaning the front glass panel and vacuuming and maintenance on filters, and I actually get a lot of joy out of that. And when I'm all done, watching the fish all perked up, and for me, it's real different from working on things that involve a lot of like staring at a computer screen, spending 4 hours editing a 5-minute video. A little behind the scenes of what the life is like for a YouTuber. You spend 3 hours on a 10-minute video. And then you don't like it. Then you don't even release it. You just put it in archives. So working on something like this, where you get your hands wet and you're seeing the result take shape right in front of you, like a woodworker, or someone like that, someone in construction, where you're seeing the fruits of your labor in the physical world manifest itself. I get a lot of relief. I get therapy out of that. I find it very relaxing. Maybe you do too. So, so thank you, Zen Ginger, for promoting the pushing of that like button. I don't know how many likes we have. We have about 146 people on the stream, it looks like, and almost $50 in super chats. Thank you so much, everybody. You're very appreciated. And half the fun of keeping fish is doing maintenance, in my humble opinion. I love it, Emma. I can't agree with you more. I mean, to me, it's and that doesn't mean that I'm not going to try. I have a project I'm going to be doing. I was sent an aquarium from my friends over at Higer. They sent me this very nice aquarium that I'm going to be putting in the area where my wife tutors. My wife is a virtual online tutor. She helps children. And if you have a child from preschool to high school that needs to get a little bit more with it, contact me. I'll get you connected with my wife. She's an amazing tutor, gets amazing results. And what happens is, in the background behind her, I'm going to set up a community tank. And this is I actually have her interested in having an aquarium. I mean, I'll take care of it, but it'll be in her space. This is a big step for us. She's never had really an interest. She's expressed a love for discus, but at any rate, I'm going to be setting that tank up. And I'm going to be setting it up with a lot of plants and a cleanup crew, and setting it up in the way that is going to be as self a self cleaning ecosystem, where the plants and the cleanup crew are doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and it's not real heavily stocked, so there isn't a lot of waste being produced. And I can service that tank maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe once a month, depending on how it goes. I'll put I'm going to be Tigers provided me with the tank. My friends over at the Aquarium Co-op are sending me some plants, and I'll probably work out something with James on the fish. Maybe put some small fish in there, maybe some Lethanops. We'll see. I was thinking maybe community, maybe put some neons and, just some of the more peaceful fish, some zebras, some rasboras, and some of the fish, some of the prettier, smaller, peaceful fish. My wife doesn't like the aggression, and she's often told me, why do you keep fish that fight so much? Especially when they were in the bedroom and they would wake us up in the middle of the night splashing around and chasing each other. So anyway, I just love the colors. When you look at that Autopharynx tetrastigma, that answers the question. It's like, oh my goodness. So at any rate, I appreciate you folks. Thank you so much for tuning in with today's live stream. I'll see you next Saturday for the live stream. Watch for some of the videos in between now and then. And thank you to my wonderful moderators. Thank you to the channel sponsor, James Largo. And thank you to everyone who helps out and all of you who watch my videos. And with that, I think we will go ahead and end off. Thank you, everybody.